Hey everybody, how's it? Happy Black Friday. Is that kind of a weird way to see Black Friday? Darkness, but happiness because you're supposed to save money or something. I don't know. I want to say aloha to everybody. I can't thank you all enough for the response on my very first podcast on this channel with Halo composer Marty O'Donnell. A lot of great comments and people say, hey dude, you should do more of these. So I think I will, and I'm hoping next to bring on Mick Gordon. So let's keep our fingers crossed that he's available. I want to thank Blake for some extremely generous coffee drop on my Venmo. And he said I should do this. So I'm going to do that. So thank you so much, Blake. This is another soundtrack reaction. This is of the, I guess the name of the game is Monster Hunter World. And the name of this particular track that Blake wants me to check out is Pride of a Nameless Hunter. So we are on that. So without further ado, and you know, it is morning time for me here in Hawaii. So by the time I load this, it's going to be later in the afternoon for quite a few of you across the country. But yeah, that's why it kind of seems a little off when I drop these things. All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or contribute to the success of this channel as it's growing, the links are going to be down below, as well as my social media links if you want to hang out there as well. All right, let's do this. This is from the game Monster Hunter World, and the name of the track that I'm doing from this OST is Pride of a Nameless Hunter. All right. Wow, how melodic is that? I can't, you see, because I'm not a game player. Somebody once left one of the comments saying, oh, old people still play games. No, when I say I'm not a gamer, I'm not, you know, dedicated to the day in and day out of playing. Yes, I loved Halo, but life kicks in when you're a little older, and I'm going to get back into playing. You guys watch. But I love how melodic this is, and it seems like about a minute into it, it almost felt like a core theme kind of came in. And what I mean by that is the beginning was a really super fat build of using different techniques in the orchestra to get you kind of charged up. And as per usual, when you start to hear music of this nature and compositions of this nature, the arrangements become multiple. In other words, you have strings doing one thing here, and then you have horns carrying another melody. Ba, ba, ba. You know, this is where it's fascinating for me when I love listening to OST games as a composer and not doing, I don't do the theory geek out on this stuff. I just want to do the geek out from within here. And this particular technique is very rhythmic. So you're hearing high-end percussive things, actually single instruments that are cutting through the giant orchestral pieces because of the strength in which that a rhythmic arrangement is to be given in the mix. So obviously the big toms and the storm drums and stuff like that, but you hear a lot of on the high end. And then as the arrangements build, you start to hear layers on top of the arrangements in unison. What does unison mean? Unison is when everything is, let's just say the orchestra is all playing one note all together. The brass section, the reed section, the strings, all the sections are following the melody. Excuse me. So at about this 1 minute point, when the core of a melody seemed to have come in, the whole orchestra seemed to follow that whole melody in unison. Then there was some supporting bottom end with these, with the brass section, which is so important. The brass section is so important in powerful tracks like this. And then another thing is that technique with the strings, that there's a few dynamic phrases that a conductor or a writer will use to tell the string players whether they want to lift the string, something like that is what would be called spiccato. And then there's a marcato technique too. But it's so important in the energy and the lift of this track. Now, I don't know if this plays during game, but if it does, it's got to be like a full-on turbocharge, as well as just actually playing the game, having that music behind. I don't know, you guys tell me. Let's continue on. Wow. So it looks like this is a fade. I don't know how that works in a game or something, or if they actually did this just for the soundtrack to release it as a fade. This could be one of those things that I'm learning about video games that would be something like a continual play or something that might loop at the end of a campaign or a scene of, or something like that. Really quick, a couple of things. It seemed like in this last section, the core theme was repeated. Something I want to bring up really quick that's really so cool, and I love it when composers do this, is kind of there's an answer call that happens. The brass, for me, has so many different powerful uses in compositions of this nature. And it seemed like as the main theme came back in, you hear the answer call. So the string or the unison of the orchestra is playing da 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 da, and then you hear the trumpets where I went like this, but da 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 da. There's answer and call, in the arrangements. And also when it gets down to where it's just, I I think I heard double bass. I'm not too sure. Cello double bass. Excuse me, holding a pattern of a note, one single note. Da, 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 da. And then what you start to hear is the growth of the arrangements. That is so cool. That is just what is so, for me, such a joy when I do my orchestral pieces and stuff, is that you can go on for almost seemingly forever layering on all these arrangements, even if it's under what we would consider a root note. So the root would be da 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 da. You could take that into so many different ways, but obviously here, this is in that particular section. That's meant to either that could be kind of like a vibe that I might use if I was like charging, you know, through the forest and hunting somebody down or something of that nature, you know, because I haven't quite engaged yet, but it's like a I'm coming to get you, you son of a kind of a vibe, you know. And there was something else I wanted to say. I just brain fart. That's when I listen to these things like this, sometimes I get so wrapped up in the track, I'll forget something. What else was I talking? No, I think that was pretty much it. But I love the repetitive nature of the melody. And so that was very, very hookish. And so that's my story and sticking to it. I love this. This is great. This was probably one of the more melodic OSTs that I've listened to. And so I don't know if that's indicative of a type of games that the game devs, I learned that word, devs, the developers, or the producers of a game really want to lay into wall-to-wall kind of music, and then there's maybe there's a few certain companies that really glow on that particular style of heavy melodic composition, but this has got to be a blast to play through, but I don't play games yet. I promise, guys, I promise. I'm going to get into it sooner or later. All right. Listen, thank you so much for hanging out. Blake, thank you again for that ominous super coffee drop and suggesting this track. And speaking of which, if you guys want to buy me a cup of coffee for what I do, link is down below. All right, guys, take care. See ya.